Welcome, broadcasting to the entirety of the Super Smash Bros. Community. This is Beyond the Metagame. I'm your host, Peon, this week live from the Tallahassee Presbyterian Church. I'm joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host, AV. AV, how you doing, big guy?
Not that great. Why are we here?
Dude, we were going to Dairy Queen, right? We took a wrong turn at some point. I see a cross. I see a youth pastor. He's got like aviators on.
Dude, is this some like Chad and Kumar like stuff? Like Harold got replaced with a white ginger.
Yeah, we got lost on instead of what are they? Oh, White Castle. Yeah, we ended up.
Yeah.
Ours is Dairy Queen, but yeah, dude, it's weird to be here. That said, they have a great sound system, so we're
That's true. The band's kicking.
I see it. There's a gospel choir, but regardless, we're here. I'm really excited about this episode, Abby. You and I just got done interviewing our new friend Max Ketchum, and it was really fun getting his insight into the world of Smash from multiple perspectives, and really like uncracking that passion that he has for the game and letting him kind of spill his heart out to us. But before we get into that, Abby, I do want to talk about a new development, geographically speaking. You ready for this?
I am ready.
We got, well, I'll imagine some beach volleyball playing Brazilians tuning into this broadcast, which means
that's awesome.
It's really awesome, man, because that means we got another continental plate down. All right, we're killing it. Wait, does South America and North America have a different continental plate? Probably not, huh?
We'll have to find out, and we'll get back to you guys.
Yeah, I don't know. Feel free to credit us on Twitter. Regardless, we got a different continent, so that's exciting. We just need Africa and Antarctica left. So get out there, network, tell people about the show in like Mozambique or something. But Abby, you have any thoughts going into this interview with Max?
I will say that we also got Sweden. We have not got into Scandinavia yet, I think, but that's pretty exciting. We're kind of all over Europe now. I mean,
I think it's Leffen.
Leffen, of course.
Leffen, what's up, bro?
But yeah, it's like, I mean, to kind of go over it, like we have viewers in Germany, Netherlands, UK, Spain, Japan, Australia, and a lot more people from Canada and Mexico now. So thank you so much, guys. It's really exciting to be broadcasting to a lot of people around the world. We're really excited to make content, and this episode, which I'm sure we are both particularly excited about, we get into someone who's incredibly passionate about Smash, and this kind of showed itself in a variety of ways. Max Ketchum is a renaissance man, like Dane goes on to show. He's done so many things in the community, and all of this fueled by the love for the game. Something that is kind of shown in this episode is that when you truly love something, you can make it your job. And there's not many people that can turn Smash into their job, but this man's dedication and love for the game, that it basically showed itself and manifested into this really great story about how we got one of our best figureheads, commentators, and event organizers in the scene today.
Well said, Abby. Well, our interview with Max Ketchum in just 1 second. Welcome back to Beyond the Metagame. This week, AV and I are live with we're not live, it's pre-recorded, but we are joined by our honored guest, Max Ketchum. Max, how you doing today, buddy?
Yo, what's good, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure. And, I suppose we just might as well get right into it. Max, you're kind of a household name in the Smash community. I think your tag alone is like enough to, stay in a lot of people's ears. I think the first time I heard that tag, it just kind of dug right in. Like, what do they call it? Like an earworm or whatever. Either way, it's a great name. What I want to start off with is something easy. What's your history with the franchise? You know, how did you get to the point where you became a household name?
All right. Well, my first introduction to Smash at all was at one of my friends' houses who had the game on his 64. I just moved to a new town, and this was one of the first dudes I knew. And yeah, man, we just started playing this game that he wanted to show me. I never played it before, and I immediately loved it. I made my mom buy me Smash 64. I played Pikachu, I think, for most of that game, but you know, that was like just when conscious memories were beginning. I was like 6 years old, you know. So I loved 64, and it wasn't long afterward that Melee came out. So I had gone to another friend's house who had a GameCube and Melee, and I didn't. And just pretty much fiended out on that, convinced my parents to get me a GameCube, which took a long time. But eventually, you know, just something about Melee particularly stuck with me that made me want to play it day in, day out, improve, get a feel for the game, and just, you know, stick with it in a way that 64 hadn't. And a couple of years later, just after playing with my neighborhood friends and a lot of single player time, one of my friends had an older brother who was very savvy with internet stuff. And this is around the time where we were in third grade. So about 2003, and the internet was still pretty young, right? So this older brother, who was 4 years older than us, knew his way around GameFAQs and other internet forums of that nature. So when I told him, like, I really wanted to, you know, get good at video games in general, like, it wasn't even Melee that spawned this conversation. It was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, because I was raising Chow like a little gremlin. Yeah. So he told me, like, you can find all like the best ways to level up the Chow on GameFAQs. So I went there and like I found the Sonic boards and got to know a couple people there and stuff. But it didn't take me a long time to just go on like the list of GameCube games for the most popular forums and see Melee at the top. And I was like, oh, I love Melee. I want to, you know, learn all these things I'm learning about Sonic in Melee. So I saw the sticky thread, or the top thread on the forum was like advanced how to play kind of stuff. So like a glossary of all these terms and all the competitive level stuff that I had never even heard of before. So I'm seeing stuff that I do know, like air dodge or roll, and then I'm seeing wave dash and L cancel. I'm like, what are these things, right? Like, so I just am reading this text list again. I'm like a 15-year-old forum at this point, and trying to replicate them in the game myself. So immediately I call up all my friends. I'm like, guys, you'll never guess what I just discovered. Like, you can cancel half the lag on your aerials, or you can do a slide while facing backward or forward, you know. And all my friends were kind of disinterested, right? We're literally 9 and 10 years old, right?
Dude, what is lag? What are you talking about,
right?
Max? I just want to play. Yeah. You want to play? It's recess, Max.
But I just knew, like, when Brawl comes out, like, I really want to go hard doing this. I made friends with a dude who was a few years older than us and lived somewhat nearby, who had a car. So I got his AIM back in the day. That's how we communicated. And I talked to this dude on AIM and like invited him to my house to play Melee, which, you know, I think is weird for me and also weird for him, because he was going to some 15-year-old's house or 14-year-old's house to play Melee. And this dude, his tag was Rhyme. He's since departed the Smash community, but he's like definitely one of the coolest dudes I ever met. He was my mentor in Melee, taught me how to really play with all the stuff that I had just read online.
Yeah, that's kind of like the funny thing about Smash is that it seems to it's really the universal language. Like, no matter what background you are, no matter what age you are, it's kind of like this universal binding agent. That's one thing I really like about it, is like, you go to a tournament, you'll see just like some grown man like have something genuinely, and not in a weird way, in common with like a 17-year-old emo girl, and they're playing Cloud Dittos, and it's just like cool, you know?
Yeah, it would be Cloud Dittos too. But yeah, so with, you know, a training partner and someone who could drive and a new game, I was like super motivated to just go out and, you know, do the things that I had seen these other people doing. So for the first year or two of Brawl, I exclusively competed, and then I decided, hey, let me throw some tournaments in my house. So that was when I started getting into event organization in a very limited capacity, and then started, trying to work with local TOs just to help run brackets or do whatever I could to help out the events. And this is also during the peak of the Apex tournament series, so I tried to, make connections there and just like be someone who could be relied on in the community and help out with these things.
Right. So sorry to cut you off there if you had anything further to talk about, but I kind of wanted to jump on this thing about transitioning from just being a player to going into TOing. As someone who did that myself, there was this moment where I realized that there's this niche to be occupied in terms of leadership and event organization in the community. And what was there any transition like from going from being a casual to competitive player? When did you first feel like compelled to go and start running tournaments and start becoming a prominent force in Smash leadership?
Back in the old Jersey days, we had some of like the premier local monthly and weekly and even national tournaments because of Apex. So I just saw everything around me blowing up and being exciting, and people loved coming to these events. So I was like, wow, I would love to help provide this as well. Just something in me was like, man, it's fun to go and compete, right? But you could also do a lot of awesome stuff by providing a tournament and setting one up from the ground up.
Right.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I mean, like I like to say you're a bit of a renaissance man in terms of the Smash. You wear a lot of hats. You're a player. In Smash 4, notably, you have a win over Nairo. I feel like people don't talk about that enough. Like that's crazy, dude. Not only did you beat him, you two-stocked him with Falcon. It was sick. And that was at X-Smash 2. And so you made some waves there. You've commentated a lot of big sets. You commentated with friend of the show G-Pick at Zaki versus MK Leo, for instance. Huge set, but I mean plenty of other sets as well. And of course, you're a TO. You've done a lot of things. Notably, one thing that really impacted AV and I was the Collegiate Star League crew battle tournament. You've made headways into the world of collegiate esports. Which, yeah, man. I mean, I have a Polaroid in my wallet of my collegiate team because you.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, man. Because you put that whole tournament together. So I mean, you've done a lot of cool stuff. But how did you identify as yourself?
Word, yeah. Sorry, I spent like an hour on the origin story thing. I didn't know how much you guys are looking for on that, but yeah.
You're chilling, man.
So, around the same time that I started deciding to just throw events in my house and help out with local stuff, we had an event that had the first ever live stream for Smash as well, and the tournament was supposed to be huge, like Ally's first time in the U.S. to take on M2K at the same event, and it was going to be huge, but a giant blizzard came in and canceled the event. But well, not canceled, but severely impacted. So it was like 20 entrants, but M2K and Ally both did show up, and they just had like a desk mic out. And I decided to just try commentary. I was 15, and people said I sounded like a 40-year-old man. Like, why is this 40-year-old man commentating Smash? So I was like super trying to do like a radio voice. I just had no idea what I was doing. But that and running tournaments kind of made me realize there's like this whole behind-the-scenes component. And at the same time as me starting to do this, I'm still like full force competing. I definitely had a lot of wins in Brawl too. I was pretty good. And I just felt like it's so fun to just be involved as much as I can, right? Like playing and winning isn't enough. I want to like do everything. It's just like there's all this stuff I can do. Why not do it all? So I don't know, just like the natural drive to do that carried over into Smash 4, obviously. And this is when, esports is becoming a real force in the entertainment industry and stuff. And I'm realizing there's potential to turn this potentially into a job or some kind of lifestyle beyond just going to tournaments and having fun or throwing a local because you can. And it was in the summer of 2015 when my best friend who's sitting right next to me, Toronto Joe, and I decided to just like, hey, Matt.Zeb is running a Melee Collegiate. Why don't we do one for Smash 4? And it was Joe's idea to introduced that, and I hadn't even thought of it myself. I was like, oh, dude, that's like an amazing idea, but how do we start? So Joe and Matt and I are all friends for a long time, and we, seeked out his counsel, and Joe already knew a lot of the inside steps, being that his school, York University, had competed and made it very far in a season of the Melee Games, which was, the Melee Collegiate League originally. So, yeah, we just kind of decided like, hey, passion project, we're just going to do this and not expect anything to happen. We'll use the entry fee from the teams to fly out the winners to nationals, and, just kind of strung it together in the span of a month or two. And, the season was definitely shaky. It was not as well organized as it is today. And the same goes for the second season that we had done afterward, right? Like we had the 2015 into 16 and 2016 into 17, just independently as Smash 4 Collegiate. And toward the end, or I'm sorry, in between the years, I went to Brazil for the Rio E-Games event. It was like alongside the Olympics, but not officially affiliated with it. They invited a bunch of players from different countries, and I was lucky enough to get to cast that. So while I was there, just hanging out, walking on like Copacabana Beach, I can't even believe I'm saying this. This dude approached me from our group who was involved at the event, and he's like, hey man, my name's Neil. I work for Collegiate Star League. I see what you guys have been doing with Smash, and I'm curious, if you're interested in getting involved with us. I was like, I didn't think of it as anything like a job offer at all. I was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Would love to work together. This is my contact info. And we stayed in touch very lightly, but in March 2017, he hit me up and was like, hey man, we're doing a show at PAX. It's going to be a Smash exhibition bracket. We have Hungrybox coming out. We're flying him out there. And we're going to do like a little panel at the Twitch booth. So would you like to come and speak on it? And, we could discuss further what we're going to do with, this stuff going forward. I'm like, oh, dude, awesome. Sign me up.
That's real. Yeah.
Yeah. So I go there and, I told Joe, like, dude, you better come down from Canada for this. Like, you have to be here. This could turn into a full-time job potentially. I don't even know what the offers are, the prospects. So I went to PAX. Joe came to PAX. We talked to Neil. I was like, I can't do this without my boy. Like we're like a package deal almost, because it's not so easy. It's just telling one guy, like, this is what you have to do and we'll pay you to do it. Like, we need some semblance of a team, or at least two people side by side to get it done. So eventually we just, kept chatting it up over the past couple months. And eventually before the start of the fall semester, we signed full-time contracts and we got real backing and prize support and, infrastructure for this thing that we were just doing for fun originally, and not expecting any kind of sponsorship like this. So yeah, man, I guess that's how the CSL arc of my life started. It's been pretty sick. I'm working full-time in esports for just over a year now. Get to come up to Canada all the time, so I'm here right now.
Dude, I've never been, man. It seems incredible. It seems like if the people are as nice as the impression that I've gotten, it's got to be a cool place.
They definitely are, and secret insider knowledge, the dairy products here are way better than they are in the US.
Dude, but yeah, I love to think that like that the Collegiate Star League started on Copacabana Beach. Max Ketchum wearing flip flops, like drinking something out of a coconut, and then all of a sudden, like this awesome situation dropped in your lap.
I actually was drinking something out of a coconut.
Oh, good, man. Hey, it is a collegiate league. I mean, if there's no alcohol involved, then I feel like the spirit of it has been corrupted. But yeah, like I guess question for you. Your focus, I suppose, in the TO realm, with CSL is exclusively collegiate, right? That's kind of the beginning and end of your partnership with them.
Yeah, we just run the circuit for Melee and Smash 4, soon to be Ultimate, between the US and Canada.
So
by the way, it was actually coconut water in the coconut.
Coconut
legitimately
water.
Was.
All
yeah,
right.
Like they took a coconut that fell off the tree and cut it open and put a straw in it. That was my drink.
Dude, that's honestly so. I had that experience happen like when I was in Hawaii. Some random dude with like some hatchet that was older than I was just like perfectly sliced this coconut. And it was so memorably delicious. So I'm kind of craving one of those now. But my question for you is, since you've had experience working inside the world of collegiate esports, like what do you think of the potential ceiling? What does the end game look like for Smash? Like a Smash collegiate scene. How high can we take this?
So I feel like I always end up drawing the analogy to sports, right? Where you have professional sports and then a very strong collegiate presence with the NCAA. Still gets, a lot of screen, a lot of national attention. So I think, the greater community is the pro sports side of things. And then we're the NCAA, right? So now it's just a matter of matching the production values and legitimacy of the craft and exposure that normal sports have, right? So I think, the ceiling is effectively where the major leagues and NCAA are right now, right? And only growing from that point. I feel like esports can very easily be compared to traditional sports, but who knows? We have a lot of reasons that we could grow even larger than that, right? Like no need to separate by gender or age or strength or weight or physical ability, right? So there's a ton of opportunity for legitimately anybody to become a professional esports athlete, personality, whatever it might be. So I don't know. There's no ceilings, baby.
I think something. Speaking of no ceilings, I want to talk about like this huge explosion that's going into Ultimate, and talking about your tournament that you're running, Let's Make Moves 2018. I believe on December 29th, it's going to be the first Ultimate Tri-State event. I want to talk about how you're trying to make a splash into the Smash Ultimate scene and what your vision is going forward as someone who's going to be involved in esports as a commentator, player, and like Dane said, Renaissance man. And if you could kind of give me a background on where you think you're going with that.
Yo, you guys are gassing me way too hard. I just want to let you know that right now. But I appreciate it. Anyway, yeah, so Let's Make Moves. Obviously, we're trying to get a leg up on the tournament organization game for Ultimate, bring something sick to people as soon as the game drops, 3 weeks after. And what we're really excited about is it's EMG's expansion into the US, right? So we have Gommel here in Canada. Joe has put his entire life and bank account into that series, like over the past 5 years. Well, technically, he's done 5 events over 2014 to now.
Dude, I think the scene definitely appreciates it because some of the most hype sets always happen at Gommel, it seems. Like
yeah, dude, Gommel is flames.
It so is, dude. It so is. So good.
But yeah,
shouts to Toronto Joe. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, having a tournament stateside is huge for EMG, but also for myself. It's the first major tournament that I'm like the lead project manager of, or one of them, alongside Joe. So I've done, brackets of all sizes and, commentary at a bunch of events, but the hand I've had in a tournament has not been so large before. So I'm definitely really excited for that. It's really fun planning things out and, getting to tweet out some cool news about the event every week or whatever. And of course, the real beauty of this event is that we're trying to bring premier tournament organization back to the tri-state area. We've had a serious drought since the loss of Apex, and we really want to fill that void and make it seem like this is still the place to be for Smash. We have some of the best players in the world. Why not have the best tournaments too?
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And I suppose I heard there's also going to be a live hip hop instrumental trio there, which is sick.
Yeah, dude. One of the big themes of the event is 90s rap, underground style. We want to make it feel grassroots, but still sick in its own way.
I'm with that.
That's really creative. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like every tournament goes with the epic anime opening song for their trailers and stuff, and we just wanted to do something different. Joe and I are big hip hop heads, and we're just trying to bring what we like and integrate it at the same time.
Yeah, make it.
But yeah,
I think that's an interesting point. Like tournaments are so tonally consistent across the board. And yeah, like why not add be very conscious of like the flavor of your tournament. Give it a certain vibe. I totally think that's a good idea.
Exactly.
And so yeah, I mean like Let's Make Moves 2018 is the end of December of 2018, right? Hot off the iron of the release of the game. This will be very early on into Ultimate's lifespan. And I guess like as someone that's been around, already for 2 Smash game releases competitively, Brawl and Smash 4. What do you think of events like this? And by like this, I mean events that are come off so early in the game's lifespan. As a player, do you think that you should use tournaments like this to kind of test things out, maybe see what characters really attract you? Or do you think that this, you should take this as competitively as possible? And I guess, do you think that, what do you think about the sentiment that maybe a tournament a year from the game's release is more inherently competitive than a tournament right off of the cuff of the release?
Yeah, I feel like for the events close to launch, there's a grain of salt to take everything with, right? It's not just going to be a solved metagame or even close, and people are going to look like fish out of water in the new game for sure. I'm sure we're going to see like plenty of SDs by way of air dodge when recovering, just pure panic and habits from Smash 4. But that said, we still want it to have some serious competitive weight to it. That's why we are holding off until 3 weeks after release rather than just doing it immediately. Also because, we got to unlock all the switches. But,
True.
Also, we just want people to feel ready, right? So we already have Naruto Buzz and Anti signed up with a lot more top players on the way. So I feel like since the game is similar enough to Smash 4, it'll be like picking up from where we left off, right? Like the top seeds are still going to be the best players from Smash 4. And everybody's hungry. Like nobody's trying to show up to the first big Ultimate tournament and bust her out. So, of course, everyone kind of gets a hall pass to have a bad tournament placing, right? Like you can't expect to be perfect when the game had just come out. So, it's a little mix of both. Obviously, everything's new and unfamiliar, but I think people are still going to try really hard. And we want that. We want it to be serious.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it will be taken seriously. I think it'll be really interesting because that's probably the first view we're going to get of like really broken strategies or like or just huge changes to the metagame that we really wouldn't have seen otherwise. One thing that I, as a TO, am really interested in, think the whole community is really like scrambling around right now is with the rule set. The amount of stages that will be potentially viable in the upcoming game is daunting to select from, and I want to know what your thoughts are behind the scenes about selecting basically a comprehensive stage list that isn't overwhelming.
So before last week's direct, I feel like all these conversations were pure speculation. Of course, everybody wants to weigh in and get to jump on things, but now that we've seen all the stages, I feel like we can go in a much more concrete direction. But even with that being said, I have no idea what the rule set's going to be for Let's Make Moves yet. No idea what my ideal rule set looks like. I could tell you that I definitely favor more conservative and small stage lists, very much the opposite of my real world politics. But I'm a Smash rule set Republican. And I just want to get rid of all the wacky stuff.
Yeah, make the rule set great again. No, but I guess there's like 2 ways to look at it, right? Like adding stages, I feel like, is less damning than getting rid of them. Once something becomes banned, it's really hard to get it unbanned, right?
Yeah, of course. So I feel like everyone's going to go in with a very open mind for the first couple months. And I feel like a lot of people are looking to events like Let's Make Moves as sort of these test subjects for what's going to stick and what's not. And they want every TO to step up and be bold enough to try something that might not end up being in the final rule set. You know what I'm saying? But also at the same time, the TOs don't want to be the sacrificial lambs who have to watch somebody fall through a glitchy stage at their tournament and ruin grand finals.
Oh, could you imagine?
Yeah, I mean, there's also the case with the Evo that ran customs, and that was one of the most. It was an interesting tournament, but it was very strange and clearly not that competitive of a rule set.
Yeah, man. I originally was very down for customs and went in with that open mind. random at my events, but obviously we saw from Evo and a bunch of events along the way that there was just too much nonsense. I feel like Smash Ultimate is going to see a similar trajectory with the stages, right? Because everyone wants to try everything.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I think just if we go in relatively open-minded, but not deliberately putting anything janky on, we could see a very healthy development of the rule set, and that's good enough. I'm not.
Oh, pardon me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not in a rush to figure out what the end game is gonna look like, but already we know what the good stages are. Already, Pokemon Stadium 2, that one is definitely gonna be on with no hazards.
Definitely.
Smashville without hazards, pretty solid improvement. There's no crazy stuff off the side of the stage anymore. And then we could do hazards on for a counter pick.
Yeah, but there's no balloon. The balloon's gone.
Yeah, well, that balloon has to be a counter pick now.
Yeah.
I would be down to get rid of Smashville just so we don't have to hear the music anymore. Like if we could ban Smashville for the first year just for Peon's own mental health. Could we please start that petition? All right, I'll sign that.
Yeah, dude. What was I gonna say? Oh, Sakurai said actually that he deliberately changed up the music selection on a lot of stages, including Smashville, because of tournaments. He said, like, I've seen so many high stakes matches, and it's just like the Roost playing, which is the sleepy song on Smashville, and it just kind of killed the mood. So I'm glad he took note of that. It's going to be a lot more like battle music and upbeat kind of stuff.
So I didn't see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot of those all source gaming or source gaming interviews with him. And they're really interesting. Like a lot of the stuff that's changed mechanically in Smash, he explains why he did it and stuff. So there's actually some pretty good info to be gleaned.
Okay, that's good to know. I'll definitely have to check those out. I feel like I love reading everything he has to say, honestly. Getting a peek behind the curtains is always so sick. But yeah, I mean, beyond just rule set stuff, we kind of covered that. Do you foresee any other issues with Ultimate as a TO? I mean, security is a big one that people are going to. But is there something else I haven't considered that you've thought of, or that is on your mind when it comes to this game in tournament?
So my two major worries are, one, definitely security with system stealing. I know everyone is always talking about it. We need to find some kind of cheap and replicable solution to that. People have suggested, Velcro, zip locks, or zip ties, just basic ways to keep it in place. Fortunately, the community has operated in good faith for so long that I feel like it'll be okay. But of course, this is the first really hot system we've seen in a while that had Smash on it, right? Like the Wii U, nobody was really trying to steal one and take it home.
Yeah, no.
But a Switch, yeah. Well, I mean, a Switch though, like it just has so much value. Like not even the cost, but like you could play so many games on it. You can take it with you. They don't even have to wait until they get home to play with their stolen system.
Yeah. Even just the Joy-Con, like sliding those off, super sneaky. I feel like no matter what we do, there's going to be some sort of inevitability that I don't know. Perhaps I'm just being pessimistic, but
and my other major concern is actually the timeliness of running 3-stock tournaments. So I was very much pro 2-stock for Smash 4. A lot of people wanted to try 3, even after like Beast in Europe was running 3 stocks and had some good matches. People were like, yo, we should do this or try it more in the US. In Brawl, we had a lot of issues with tournaments finishing on time. I was the major proponent of switching the game to 1 stock, but we'll just not even cover that. That's a whole different conversation. But yeah, like I'm kind of worried about the timeliness of the games. From what we've seen, the combo game in Ultimate doesn't look crazy. So people, of course, want to play with 3 to start off. SDs are less costly. That was a huge problem for people in Smash 4. The whole 2 stocks and rage creating inconsistent results thing was a problem. And everyone's eager to play a game that, might be faster or have a stronger punish game and just quicker games overall. But I'm personally, just from what I'm seeing in early Ultimate at least, it doesn't look like the combo game is as strong as Smash 4, even though, of course, you have all the movement options under the sun to work with. So 3 stocks might be a risky proposition, and Let's Make Moves will definitely be a guinea pig for that. because of course we are going to run 3 stocks. I don't want to go against the grain with the community, but I think people should just be open to the idea of potentially the rule set reverting back to 2 if we end up deciding, like, okay, yeah, the combo and punish game in Ultimate is not as strong as Smash 4, which already, 2 stocks felt pretty much right at home. So we're just going to switch it back. Like, I don't know. I feel like that would cause a lot of chaos in the community. But who knows? Like, my compromise is to make all sets best of 5 if we did 2 stock, and I'm very open to doing that. I just don't want to do 2 stock best of 3 again, because it created a lot of weird brackets, to say the least.
Right. Yeah, I mean, as a TO myself, I've been up at 2 a.m. with people finishing grand finals. Like, everyone's trying to go home. It's like,
I've had that in my house, bro.
Yeah,
dude, last time you invite the Olimar over to your house, dude.
Sorry, literally, actually, what happened.
Dude, it doesn't surprise me at all. One time, man, I still say, like, the worst experience I've had in my young adult life was the displeasure of commentating an Olimar Ditto. I think I'm a ginger, but after that I became like a silver fox. Like, my hair instantly became like ghost white. It was terrible. I looked like an uglier. I looked like Charles, like George Clooney with freckles. It was ridiculous.
Oh my god, dude. Yo, was Solomar one of them?
Yes, actually.
Because I know you're from NorCal.
Yeah.
Who's the other all?
A guy named Jabe, very very good player. Actually.
Oh, dude, I know who that is. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah, me and G-Pick commentated it actually. He had the time of his life, but I.
You did not.
Yeah, we had G-Pick on the show. He was like excited about this whole. He really loved the whole of our Ditto.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. I think he withdrew all of the area's available enthusiasm, and I was just stuck there, like, again, aging at a rapid rate. But yeah, man. I guess. Just to continue off what we were talking about, like your role as this multi-dimensional guy, commentating, TOing, but still competitive in your own right, as a player, still an important part of your game. Did you ever feel like any individual pursuit that you had in Smash was at the disservice of the other pursuits? So, like, as you advanced as a commentator or as a TO, did it ever become a detriment to your gameplay, or vice versa? Did you ever feel like, man, I was too invested in this tournament as a player, my commentary came off a little emo because I just got upset in a bracket and I'm still upset by it? Like, do you think, and also, would you encourage people to diversify their Smash interests, I suppose?
Yeah, so I definitely would encourage people to do that. I don't think that I've necessarily suffered in any department overall, but in terms of individual events, yeah, it could be a little bit hard. I'd say the hardest combo is TOing a tournament and competing in it as well. I've definitely done terribly at every single tournament I've run. It's just kind of a thing in my life, and I didn't realize it until like after the first 2 or 3 times. I was like, man, why am I like losing? This is my house. I should be comfortable, or like, I'm running this event, and then I'm starting to realize, like, oh, it's because I have this whole other thing on my mind, right? Like, I have to finish this match quickly so I can get back to the bracket or tend to somebody's needs, right? And that's a hard combo to pull off, but competing and commentating, at least especially at major tournaments, I think is very doable. You can just segment your time properly, but then you occasionally will have a pool and then a block of commentary immediately afterward. And, if you like make a deep run in the pool, you're playing until 10 minutes before your call time on the mic sometimes. Yeah, so I guess that could. I
mean, when I commentated on Hyrule Saga, for instance, like, my pools started when I was still at the desk, and it's really hard to prepare for your matches and to prepare for the matches that will be streamed. I definitely see that. But long term, do you think that they are symbiotic in the sense that, like, because you're more invested as a commentator, you also learn more about the game, stuff like that?
Absolutely. 100%, dude. I feel like commentating high-level sets gives you direct exposure in the scope of critical thought about high-level gameplay, right? So it's not just that you're watching it and enjoying the matches, but you've got to figure out what's going through these guys' heads so you can tell everybody else. And furthermore, you have to break it down to a digestible level that, for example, someone's grandma who's in the room and decides to watch it with them, like, ends up staying engaged and understands what's going on. So breaking things down to like a super simple level can help you learn as a player too, because it's like, oh, what he's doing isn't that crazy. It's just X, Y, and Z put together, and then you start to make those adaptations, and you learn by osmosis. So when you're watching these sets, you end up stealing stuff from the players, or just having them influence their gameplay in some way. So yeah, I do think that they're symbiotic. I would encourage people to do multiple things, and not really for the sake of advancing as a player, but for the love of the game, for the love of the community. Like, get out there and give back, right? Commentary, I wouldn't say is so much giving back as like event organization is. So I'd really say focus on that. Like, if you're a good player, use your influence to bring more people to events, or like decide to just not enter a weekly because you won the last 6 and help TO it and make it a better experience for everybody else. And that comes back to you too when more people show up the next week because it was a great event and it was run properly and it got a good turnout. And then you get to make more money as a player, right? So I don't know. All things kind of feed into each other like that. You're gonna be a better commentator if you learn more about the game too. Like, that's what I would say first and foremost. You asked before, like, which one I really identify with. I'd say before anything, I'm a competitor, right? I'm in this game because I love to play people in Smash when the stakes are high and there's pride or money or something on the line. And that's what drives everything else. That's why I would run a tournament. That's why I would commentate a tournament. Like, I like doing commentary because I get to just, watch all this sick stuff in front of me and try to like get other people into loving what I love. So, yeah, man, I think everything just comes full circle. I would really, really recommend that everyone dips their toes in all the pools, so to speak.
From an outsider, it seems like you just love the game. I mean, is that an oversimplification? I think is the advice, like, if you want to become the next Muta King, if you want to become the next great TO, if you want to become the next great commentator, you just gotta love the game. At least that has to be true for the rest to come true.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this game is literally like defined my life. You know what I'm saying? I never have found something I've just latched onto so hard and still been running with for all these years counting. So yeah, dude, I'm in it because it's fun, honestly. And the fact that now, like, I'm getting paid to do cool stuff for the Smash community is literally living in a dream world. Like, it's insane. So yeah, dude, I just, I love Smash, dude. I'm married to the game. I can't really say any better than that.
That's awesome, man. That's great.
Yeah,
well,
man.
Amy, do you have any other questions for him?
No, I just wanted to say that it's really. You remember you were talking about the fact that you wouldn't do as well when you were TOing. It's funny because I've had the exact opposite experience. It's strange because there'd be tournaments that I'd come to, and I would be TOing most of the tournaments I'd enter in, and then when I wasn't TOing, I'd be so thrown off that I wasn't TOing that I'd actually do worse. Like, I'd feel like I'd have to be doing something. My brain would need to be occupied.
Wow. That's funny. Maybe it's because, like, my very first foray was like, I need to get good and be good, right? And you, like, I guess if you started TOing like very early into the game, then maybe that like naturally was the priority in your brain or something. I don't know. Just trying to be a shrink for a second.
It's just it's just really funny. But I think that's really cool that you talk about like finding purpose in the community and really driving people to love it, and that inherently in itself there's this thing that you can't just want people to join so you can get more money. You have to really be genuine with the way that you approach the game, the way that you approach building a community, and the way that you approach giving back. And that's something that I have preached on the show before. That's something that I've talked about in depth in terms of getting people to really feel that they're welcomed and increasing retention rates, which is something that I definitely get asked a lot, and that I have been asked before in terms of TOing. So I think that's really awesome that you brought that perspective, and I definitely vibe with that a lot.
Yeah, man. I'm glad I could have some words that resonate with you. Like, I don't know, man. Just something about Smash, right? Like, they say nobody ever quits this game, and I've seen it so many times where these players from even ages ago, they're like, oh yeah, like, I'm taking a step back, or I'm going to retire. And everyone who makes one of those posts without fail will come back in some capacity.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, like, on the real, this game literally changed my life, right? From going from like the game I was most interested in as a kid to something that got me out of my house every weekend. Like, when I was in high school, I didn't care about going to parties or like, doing all that much socially, but best believe Saturday morning, 7 a.m., I have an alarm set to take a shower and like leave to a venue wherever it was. I lived in the middle of nowhere back in those days, so it would always be an hour plus of a drive to a tournament, and without fail, I would be doing it. So that kind of like sparked my inner socialite and my extroverted side, I guess, because that wasn't what it was like for me at all growing up. And then like you'd never think a dude who's like a commentator would be quiet and reserved, I guess, but it kind of like brought that side out of me and just taught me a lot about myself. And I saw so many outlets to get involved with the game and the community that I was like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do this. Meanwhile, like in school, no extracurriculars, nothing of that nature, right? Like I don't know, I just felt like it was what I wanted to do. And then I went to school for political science, nothing to do with games or media or broadcast or anything like that. But Smash 4 came out in my senior year of college, and I'm seeing all these people like having fruitful things happen in their lives because of gaming, and not in Smash at all at the time. Maybe like a little bit in Melee because this was about a year after the documentary. But I just decided like, I'm going full steam, like screw my grades. It's funny because I'm like the director of the Collegiate Smash League, and I'm saying I'm like, I'll stream, I'll go to tournaments, like I'll skip class to rest or practice or go to something. And that's Smash 4 is what really made me like chase the dream full force. And Brawl was like, you could see glimpses of what could happen with this, and it was again purely motivated by passion. But 2014 is really when the business end of things started to kick in, both within the community and for me. And I was like, yeah, dude, if I have a chance to do this for a living, best believe I'm going to take it. And it was a long road there. Like the first year and a half of Smash 4, I don't think I got paid more than, $50 for commentary ever. And for the entirety of Brawl, I was never paid for almost anything I've ever done. Aside from, some meager tournament winnings here and there. But, 2016, I'd say is really like the turning point where commentary pay started to become like at least acceptable. Like, I'm only losing $200 to go to this event. And then it slowly had an uptick from there. Like obviously, spoiler alert for any viewers, hopefully, watching this to figure out how to make a career in commentary, there's no career level pay in that. Like, you get a couple weekends a month where you might make a little bit of money. But of course, CSL coming in changed the whole game for me. Like now I literally live off this game. But I want to use that position for the right reasons, right? I don't want to just be collecting a paycheck and then, showing up and commentating and laughing at my own jokes, right? Like that's why I'm really happy that the position I have is something where I'm providing tournaments for other people and, doing something interesting and that isn't really like, done by anybody else with running a circuit for college. Like Joe and I are like effectively the only people who have ever run a national circuit for Smash 4. Because of the collegiate. So yeah, I'm just really stoked that like I'm in a position where I'm doing this for pay and everybody gets to benefit from it, right? Like I feel like, there's that certain level of responsibility that is placed on you within the community when you do something like this. And like, I just don't want to mess it up. I want to make sure it's not about me, like it's about everybody else.
Sure.
And like that there's good reason that I'm one of the people doing this.
Well, sure. I mean, you're definitely not going to fail if you do fail due to a lack of passion. That much is certain. And just you said something that really
I got to spend less time on Reddit though. Less time on Reddit and Twitter, and then it definitely won't fail.
But you mentioned kind of briefly that Smash did. You were this introverted guy. Now you are on camera for thousands of people. You're leading people. You're directing them. I mean, literally. So I guess how does Smash historically interface with your personality? How was the Smash community specifically an outlet for like personal development and for personal like personality growth?
Well, I viewed it mostly as kind of a fresh start, right? Like you get your second personality when you join a community like this. Like everyone's got a different name, and who they are at tournaments is definitely very different from who they are at school or work, for better or for worse, right? Like in school growing up, I was like just a nerd, like I want to say, on the fringes of mainstream culture in my school and stuff. Like, I had friends. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't like bullied or anything, but I just wasn't involved. I didn't really care what the other kids were doing. I just wanted to play Melee with my boys. So I don't know. I just go to a Smash tournament for my first time. I'm seeing all these dudes who are like, they're not the cool kids from their school by any means, right? And that's nothing against them, but it's just, they're not wearing Abercrombie and Fitch with like gelled up hair or something, I'm like, wow, like all these dudes who are kind of like, on the fringes of society are here like all boisterous and having huge personalities and just being very confident and comfortable in their own skin. And that was new to me because, I grew up in like this middle of nowhere, super white town, and everything was about like, wearing the certain clothes and being interested in certain music and stuff. And I was like, wow, I feel like nobody here gives a fuck. Oh wait, sorry, is this?
You're good, bro. You're good. Say what you gotta say.
Well, yeah. So nobody cared. And I was like, damn, dude, this is super cool. I'm just gonna like be myself and get loud and hype, and I don't care if nobody knows me. They'll forget, in a day. And I keep going, and I'm like, oh, people know who I am now, and I've just been doing whatever I want, so I'm just gonna keep it up. And I just felt like a huge confidence boost from being able to be myself and like showcase that outgoing side. And now it's like the Smash community is my family, dude. Like, not even my second family, dude. Straight up my family. So I don't even care. Like, I'm way more open and genuine with Smash players than my actual biological relatives. So I don't know, man. It's just like a chance to not even necessarily reinvent yourself, but let your whole self out. Like, I've seen so many people kind of go the same route. Like, they're totally different in and out of Smash tournaments, but it's not like they're putting on a front. It's they feel comfortable enough to be who they are or who they want to be within the confines of the space. And then they do grow as people. Like, someone I like to point to as an example is Nairo. This kid was super quiet. And then, Brawl comes out. He becomes one of the best players in the world. This guy's talking smack everywhere. He's all like loud and excited. And, then you give him a stream and he really comes out of his shell. So yeah, like it's made lifelong impacts on, myself and others in terms of personality development for sure. And it's really just because you feel like you could be yourself. Another trend that I'm like super happy has happened in Smash community is that a lot of the closeted gay people come out in Smash because nobody cares. Like, you could live in, Southwest Mississippi where everyone will isolate you for being gay or something to that effect, and you could just be like you can literally just not have to put up a front anymore. And that's super cool, dude. Like, especially in this age of like social progress, I love seeing or love noticing like, wow, this happened in Smash years ago, because we're just a very open-minded, like, non-judgmental community. People make friends like at the drop of a dime just because you already have common ground with somebody.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, I've seen some really cool stuff as a result of people joining Smash and just like, figuring themselves out in a community of their peers rather than just, who they're forced to interact with on a day-to-day basis.
Right. I've definitely experienced that. I think like my first experience with a bunch of like really diverse group of individuals was with the Smash community as someone who generally wasn't very much of a bubble. Like, I was just always hanging out with like people who were very similar to me. I think getting into Smash like basically exposed me to all these people that, because Smash is something that is so like universal, it created this node that literally anyone could attach to. So basically you had something in common with someone who is like radically different from you. I think Dane mentioned about like the 17-year-old emo girl and the 40 and the 40
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most incredible things, and it really opened my mind to the fact that there's this that there are people that you can pretty much get along with anyone, and that giving someone purpose is as simple as giving them a place in a community, and along with that comes the confidence that you talked about. And I think purpose is very correlated with confidence, and that's why we usually see people on the fringe, like you're talking about, all be like lack purpose by the fact that they're ostracized by different parts of society, and then when they come into Smash, they have a very very clear purpose to fill and niches to that they can attach themselves to.
Yeah, man, I really well said, Abby, and I think that like just to reference Max, like the UCSB Collegiate Smash team, you know that you helped put together. On our team, we had a ginger, which was me. We had an Indian guy, which was AV, and then we had a Mexican girl, a super huge black dude, um, and like this like tiny little dude that looks like a sheriff.
He looks like a sheriff.
How
do you just look like a sheriff?
Dude, when you see him, if you ever see him at a major, like, oh, that's Peon was talking about. That's the sheriff over there. No, but we had this really weird, almost like the brochure kind of assembly, like
yeah.
like a Hollywood team hand picked this like eclectic group of individuals. And yeah, it's funny. That's only that you can only see that kind of thing in Smash, or in like Glee.
Yeah, I wanted to say it when I was talking about like, you know, how I came from this super white town in the mountains that was like very culturally dry. Yeah, like going to Smash tournaments, it doesn't matter what your background is, whether, you know, racially or in terms of income and all that stuff. Like you see this insane melting pot of whoever decides that they like Smash enough to come out to a tournament. So yeah, dude, it's super cool. Like people have, you know, become way more cultured and savvy, and like I would include myself in that. I've learned like a ton about everything just from going to these tournaments. Like I end up seeing parts of the world that I never would have been to otherwise, and interacting with people that I wouldn't encounter on a day-to-day basis. So, and also just like random aside, dude, some of the people in the Smash community are just like the brightest minds I've ever met in my life. Like, you know, this dude Practical Task, like that guy is a supercomputer. But you know, and there's tons of other people like that who, you know, maybe if they're not like a statistics genius, like they're like they found their niche and they found what they're best at. Like that old Einstein quote about, you know, judging a fish by its ability to climb the tree. Like there's people who just have never had their chance to shine, and they find it within Smash because there's just so many avenues you could pursue, whether it's art or commentary or tournament organizing if it's not competing, you know. So yeah, you get to see all kinds of cool stuff, man. And I would recommend to anyone listening to this that's never gone to a tournament, just do it, man. Like the world could change for you. You could meet a lot of friends, or, you know, even turn it into something that you do for the rest of your life, or, you know, while the esports community and industry is booming, like, you know, you could have a job for a while. Like who knows, man. Like I feel like the promise of a job is the worst reason to get into this though. Like I don't want to start like selling people on the ability to become like employed because they're going to a Smash tournament. Like unfortunately, you know, that's the small minority of people. I was just lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time and like already had done it for 10 years. But there's like so much more that is worth way more than any amount of money in the world that you could find.
Well, Max, man, really well said. Thank you so much for coming on today, dude. We're kind of running out of time interview-wise.
Dude, no problem.
It's
Same
awesome.
here.
Dude, it was great talking to you, man. Thanks for being such a good advocate for the scene, for doing things like the Collegiate Star League that has positively affected AV in my life. You know, and for just being a great face for the scene, man. A relatable dude on the mic, someone that kind of normalizes our scene at a passing glance. You know, you're just a great presence to the mic, and really looking forward to seeing what else you do. Looking forward to seeing how this year's Collegiate Star League develops, and how, you know, I'll definitely be tuning in for Let's Make Moves 2018 all the way from California. But dude, Max, thank you so much, man. Where can people find you?
Thank you, man. Honestly, you guys are way too kind to me. Thank you for the words, man. It's really nice to hear. But yeah, if you guys are trying to connect with me or just follow updates with what I'm doing in Smash, catch me on Twitter at Max Ketchum _. You could also follow my team at Even Matchup on Twitter, and then Even Matchup Gaming on Twitch and YouTube. These guys are always putting out sick content like plays of the week, tournament streams, etc. Of course, you could catch one half of the Let's Make Moves broadcast on there as well. But yeah, come to Let's Make Moves, by the way. That's my shameless plug.
And if you're a college student, you know, look it up, man. Get involved with the CSL.
Yes, that's my other shameless plug.
Oh, dude, no shame necessary, because it's a great way to bring hype, connect with your people in your area, make some good friends, firm up some friendships you already have, and do something as a team. Smash is kind of a lonely sport sometimes, but you do it as a group, you form some lifelong bonds. It's a great experience. Couldn't recommend it enough. Max, it's been good, man.
AB, Peon, thank you guys. Just whenever you want to do it again, hit me up, man.
Dude,
Oh, of course.
absolutely, bro. We definitely will do, man. We're planning on running for a long time, and we know you'll be around. So you're definitely a friend of the show. Should tell you, actually, you're on the website's Hall of Fame now. As of when this episode is published, you're added onto the Wall of Fame. You're along JTails, GPick,
Sick.
and SSB Pro Tips. So you're in some good company.
Oh, dude, SSB Pro Tips, my man Lade.
Dude, Lade is the guy, dude.
Yeah, I love that guy, man. I love those other two guys. JTail is one of my super OG friends from back in Tri-State Brawl, and like we literally went to every event together for the first couple months of Smash 4. And GPick, great commentator, casted with him a few times. Definitely super cool dude. But yeah, guys, thanks again for having me.
So there you have it, guys. That was our interview with Max Ketchum, and I had a lot of fun with that. Av, what do you think about it, man? Like, after it's all said and done, what are your thoughts?
I think that it was really awesome to see someone who has been there in the grassroots from the very beginning. I vibed with a lot of what he said. Like, there's me as a TO, event organizer, all of those things about having this kind of passion for the game and giving back to the community, which eventually comes back to you in other ways, is stuff that I all relate with very deeply. And I think that he gives a really good example for the fact that in order to get good at Smash, or to get good at anything in life, you have to have a very deep-rooted passion for it. And for whatever you do, confidence comes from purpose. I think that that's a huge motto that we can take away from this episode, and the fact that because Smash is something that brings a lot of these people together and gives people this confidence in another venue, we should take away the fact from that because that you gain this confidence in Smash because of this purpose that you feel in the community.
Yeah, I don't think it's any coincidence that some of the most successful people in our community, even just from a raw competitive standpoint, the players, are also some of the most invested. You see the Zeros, the Nairos, the Mewtwo Kings. They're not just players. They're content creators. They eat, sleep, and breathe this game. It's an extension of themselves. And while not everybody realistically can put in all that time and could really center themselves around Smash, their entire life, I think that there still is an important lesson to derive, which is really plunge into this game emotionally. Let it surround you, let it take a hold of you, and like you said, give you that purpose, and from there get that confidence. But yeah, I loved seeing how he was such a Renaissance man. We preach that. Like, it's good to diversify your interests. If you're feeling burnt out from the game, the sky's the limit with what you can do with it. Start a tournament series, start a stream, start a podcast.
Yeah, I think it's really funny how Max kind of combined some of the stuff that we did. I mean, Dayton's notably a commentator, and I'm notably an event organizer and TO, and we're both competitive players. So it's really interesting how we kind of all everyone connects on some level with their own niche, whether you do graphic design or creating some sick beats for your local tournament, which I want to start doing, because that sounds like that sounds like a cool.
You got to collaborate with our former guest and friend of the show, SSB Pro Tips, man. That SoundCloud's still popping. I'm still listening to it. I'm still listening to Goldman Stacks on my way to work.
Dude, that was some serious flames, dude.
For sure, man. Well, hey, you want to move on to some of the questions we got this week on Twitter?
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you line up the first one?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So our first question on Twitter this week: M Night Shyamalan. Love his films. He says, "Hey, Peon AV, love the podcast. What do you guys think of the fact that Smash Ultimate so far seems to be a floatier game, with less of an emphasis on combos?" You want to take that one, AV?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that there's a lot of things that we talked about on the podcast that relate to this. I think that with the whole like three stock situation and lack of air dodging and the increased movement, there's a lot of potential for it to be like a really like diverse and game with a lot of vitality. However, I do see your concerns with the fact that there is going to be more brawl-esque focus on neutral, and I think we're just gonna have to see when the game comes out because right now it seems like it's fast enough, but I think that's only because we're seeing like final smashes in every game, and I think we're still seeing that the gameplay isn't as fast as I think we'd like to be in terms of a competitive game. But I'm sure we'll find out when the game comes out. All right. So we're moving on to our next question. This one is from John Cage, famous musician, pianist. So he asks Dane, so what is your favorite character so far in Ultimate, and who are you going to main on day one?
John Cage loves music. King K. Rool, short and sweet. I mean, he's the character that I'm most interested in terms of just like newcomer, completely new style. Competitively, I don't know how viable he'll be. I'm more of like a fast faller, super aggro kind of guy. Heavy's never been my forte, so I likely will transition to like a, Captain Falcon, Cloud, someone that's very kind of glass cannon. Maybe Falco. Falco's got his melee dare back. He seems really fun. He's my melee main. So yeah, those are what are interesting me. What about you? Have you thought about this?
Yeah, definitely. I'm playing Sheik day one. Yeah, gotta rep Sheik. I've played Sheik day one in Melee, played Sheik day one in Brawl, played Sheik day one in Smash 4. So we're playing Sheik again, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, that makes sense. Our next question is from the Holy Spirit, one of the persons of the divine triune. So thank you for your question, Lord. They ask, you guys often talk about Smash Brothers. Obviously, it's Smash Bros podcast. However, do you guys like any fairy tales like Humpty Dumpty or whatever?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, thanks for showing up at the church early today. It was a great sermon. I'm sure thanks to you. I think one of the most important things when looking at fairy tales, as you know, I'm someone who loves talking about the motto behind things and what you can take away from it. So probably I'm gonna have to go with the classic, which is "Ring Around the Rosies." And though I know it's not technically a fairy tale, but it's really important talking about how don't get infected by the Black Plague. That's a great lesson to take away, and I think we're gonna move on to our next question. This one's going to be from Neil deGrasse Tyson, famous astrophysicist. He asks you, Dane, specifically you, how do you live knowing that that climate change is real, and that you, as a human being, you, Dane Hartog, cannot do anything to stop it?
Right. Well, first of all, Neil deGrasse Tyson, thank you, friend of the show. We'll have to have you on sometime. Uh, yeah, yeah. I don't sleep. I know it's really crippling. Actually, I haven't really felt since 2002, and we're all gonna die. Next question comes from uh, Toby Maguire's left hand, who was featured in the Spider-Man trilogy, the original, the ones that from our generation, right? He asks, "Why are we here?"
Yeah, great question, Toby Maguire's left hand. I really enjoyed your takes in a lot of the Spider-Man movies, and I really appreciate the webs that you've spun for us in storytelling and physically. I think one of the things that we have to get into in terms of why are we here as individuals is like we talked about on this podcast. We want to have purpose. Things that drive us to give us purpose are things that we can contribute to in our community. We are defined by our relationships. We are defined by the people that we interact with. We are defined by the amount of connections that we have in our life. Just like the webs that you spin, we create this network of people that we are constantly interacting with. And you'll find that the most purpose you can ever get out in life is developing these networks and interacting with more people, making more change in someone's life, in your community, in the Smash community, with people that you've never talked to. And realize that at the end of the day, when you leave, you are carried on as a person by your interactions and your thoughts in other people's minds.
Well
And
said. Well
yeah,
said. Well, that is all the questions we got this week. But Abby, I guess where can people find you?
people can find me at A Vaidyanatha, which is my long Indian last name, on Twitter. You can see that in our podcast description on our website or in Spotify or Google Casts or wherever you watch us. Dane, Peon, where can people find you?
I am at Peon _ GCE. That's Golf Charlie Echo for all you pilots. And you can also find us on at Beyond Metagame. Twitter did not have room for the, but we are Beyond Metagame. And yeah, additionally, we've talked about the release of our Discord server, and we've been sending out invites in waves. Our first invite was a great success. We already have a small little community developing, and it's been really great to get to talk to some of you, get to know some of you better. So hey, yeah, if you want to chat with me and AV, and sometimes you can see, because we interview our guests in the Discord, so sometimes you can get spoiled and you can see who joins the lobby and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a cool way to interact with us, to talk with us voice to voice, or just type to us. But yeah, join our Discord. We're gonna have more invites, more waves coming out this week, and I would love to talk to you guys individually there. Oh, sorry, you have anything to add on that, AB?
No, I'm excited to see you all on the Discord, and yeah, we're going to be sending out another wave of 10 invites this week. And other than that, yeah, thanks for the great episode, Peon, and we'll see you all next week.